Hello and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. Today's video is a recap of day 9, and it's a wrap, people. This part of the training camp where the practices are open to the public is now over. Next week starts the preseason games, and I can't be more excited than I am right now with everything that's going on. What I've been seeing, 9 days into training camp. 9 days into training camp. So today was another pad day, and I want to jump right into these notes. So first thing I'm going to say is I'm upset. Why I'm upset? I'm upset because John Michael Schmitz was not running with the ones today when it came to 7-on-7 and 11-on-11 drills. Who did they have? Ben Bredeson. Now, here's the thing. I understand Ben Bredeson is fighting for a spot, a starting spot, but listen here. It's not the starting center spot. Stop playing musical chairs. Stop messing around. John Michael Schmitz is the starting center for the New York Giants. I understand that you want to do all this. You got to earn it and, things like that. But we already know what it is when it comes to John Michael Schmitz. We already know. Stop playing games. He needs to get all of the snaps when it comes to the first team. Period. Ben Bredeson has his hands full enough with the left guard battle and now possibly the right guard battle. He has enough to deal with. Now, I also know this. Now, when you're looking at Ben Bredeson, he's pretty much the swing guy, whether it's left guard, right guard, or center. I understand you want him to get these reps at center as well, but he might just be the starting left or right guard. Let's stop playing around with the center spot. I understand you want to let him get some snaps, so let him get second team snaps. Let's stop playing around with the center spot and figure out what we're doing on the left side and the right side. Now, here's the thing. Today, Joshua Ezeudu had a fantastic practice, and Joshua Ezeudu has actually shown that he is very, very much improved. We already knew he had great feet for a guy his size. One of the knocks on him was possibly his strength and also the strength in his hands. It's two totally different things. Upper body strength is one thing, but also strength in your hands are another thing when you're talking about an offensive lineman. One thing that he looks like he's worked on so far is the strength in his hands and overall strength as well. He had a great play today. There's a highlight showing Daniel Jones with the pass to Darren Waller. Fantastic. But if you zoom in and you look at the play again, you see a absolutely fantastic rep. Joshua Ezeudu versus Leonard Williams, and it's pretty much perfect. The rep is perfect for Joshua Ezeudu, and we already know what Leonard Williams is. He is a monster when it comes to these trenches, and Joshua Ezeudu just had a perfect rep. If he can tie that in together and make it more consistent, which I think he can do this year, I think that left guard position might be locked down, and now we're just talking about Ben Bredeson against Glowinski, which I think I actually like that competition more than trying to play the musical chairs with Ezeudu. You drafted Ezeudu high. Like my man Sal would say, you drafted Ezeudu high, let him be the starter, let him go through his bumps and bruises. I agree, 100%. Now on the right side, when it comes to Glowinski, he struggled a little bit last year. He's struggling a little bit in the training camp, and Ben Bredeson is looking solid. That's where I think the real competition is, but I understand what it is. I know what you're trying to do. I respect it. I understand it. It is what it is. So let's talk about Jalen Hyatt. Actually, no, I'll wait for Jalen Hyatt because you already, if you're on Twitter, you're seeing the tweets, you're seeing that. I'll talk about Jalen Hyatt in a second. I want to talk about Daniel Jones. So according to Bobby Skinner, who was at practice today, Daniel Jones went 20 for 24. And this is a padded practice. We remember the first padded practice, it was not the best showing for Daniel Jones. I believe he was 6 for 11. Second padded practice, it was better. This padded practice, you're talking 20 for 24. That's fantastic. And the connection between him and Darren Waller is there already. The chemistry is there already. And it looks like it's the real thing. I understand it's practice, it's training camp and things like that. But I'm to the point right now where as long as these guys are healthy, Darren Waller, as long as he's healthy, what he's doing right now, against the New York Giants in practice against that Wink Martindale defense, I think he's going to be able to do that with, to whoever we play in this season. I don't think there's going to be a linebacker, safety, cornerback that's going to be able to handle Darren Waller one-on-one. So they're going to have to either bracket, they're going to have to probably double team or do things like that. And that just opens up the offense, so much more, especially when we're talking about Saquon Barkley facing 8-man boxes. And Jalen Hyatt alluded to it in an interview that he had a few days ago where he's talking about how we're going to make it easier for Saquon Barkley. I've been saying the same thing since we picked up Paris Campbell, adding speed to the outside, adding Darren Waller, up the seams. That's going to make these defenses honest. You're going to force them to not play that 8-man box. And Saquon Barkley against a non-8-man box, I like those chances all the time. And you can see that Mike Kafka is already working on Saquon Barkley being used more in the passing game. Had a nice touchdown today off a little rub route, kind of flat into the end zone. Daniel Jones hit him. This is what we need to see as fans of the New York Giants, and as fans of Saquon Barkley, we want to see him get used, in this manner. So I'm loving all the reports. I'm loving all of the videos that are coming out. I'm loving all of the tweets that I'm reading about how Saquon Barkley is being used. He said it on the couch in that interview, how he wants to be used, and we're seeing that already. And I think if the line is solid and you're getting solid protection from this offensive line, you'll see Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, kind of worked how we thought they were going to work last year as far as Kafka's scheme. Outside of that, now let's talk about Jalen Hyatt. It's come to the point where you don't ask if Jalen Hyatt had a good day. You don't ask if Jalen Hyatt had a bad day. You're pretty much asking how many touchdowns did Jalen Hyatt score today. That's what it's turned into when it comes to Jalen Hyatt. How many touchdowns did he score today? Who did he beat today? Those are the questions that we're hearing with Jalen Hyatt right now, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. We drafted this guy in the 3rd round, right? And then all of last season and stuff like that, we're talking about how the Giants needed a wide receiver 1 at the trade deadline. Oh, should we trade for Judy? Should we try to go get T. Higgins? Things like that. And we didn't. We decided to build through the draft, and we got a number 1 receiver in Darren Waller in the offseason. But now we picked up Jalen Hyatt, and from all reports, it's way too early to say it. I almost don't want to say it, but I'm still going to say it. Jalen Hyatt is looking like he's going to be the future number 1 wide receiver for the New York Giants, if not this season, very, very soon. Very, very soon. It all depends on what happens in real games. I understand that. But the more that Daniel Jones becomes comfortable with him, with trusting him to be the guy that's going to make a play for one of those deep shots, if it's a 50-50 situation, if it's double team and you throw that ball thinking that guy can get there, the more that Daniel Jones, feels comfortable taking those type of shots, taking those type of risks in order to make those plays, the better he's going to get. He has played it safe for so long. Last year was a blueprint on how to not turn the ball over, how to be conservative, how to just move the ball methodically down the field. Now you're getting to the point where they're absolutely comfortable in the offense, and now it's just about making the plays when the plays are there to be made. And I think that you're seeing the building blocks of that right now with the New York Giants, and I can't wait for the real games to happen. But until then, I'll settle for the preseason game. So let's talk about that a little bit. So we have Detroit next week on Friday on the 11th. That's going to be the first preseason game. In my opinion, I don't think we see the certain starters at all. I don't think we see Daniel Jones at all. I don't think we see Saquon Barkley, Andrew Thomas. I don't think we see those guys at all. Darren Waller possibly. We won't see them at all in this first preseason game. They're going to do a lot of their work in the practice throughout the week. These joint practices with the Detroit Lions are going to be like gold. It's going to be like gold. These are going to be very valuable reps that the New York Giants are going to have against the Detroit Lions. I'm hoping that I think it's 2 practices. I'm hoping that at least one of these practices is padded. I want to see the trenches work. I want to see what our offensive line looks like against that defensive line. I want to see, I'd rather see that more than just our defensive line versus their offensive line, because I already got a pretty good idea of what our defensive line can do. I know what Leonard is. I know what Dexter is. I know what these guys can do. I really need to see what this offense looks like against that Detroit defensive line. That's going to be what I'm going to be looking for, in the reports with the beat writers on the websites. I'll be on Giants.com. I'll be on the DetroitLions.com just to see or get as much information as possible on these practices, because I don't believe they're going to have those open to the public at all. It's Detroit. I don't know the rules right now. I don't know what they're doing, but I'm just going to prepare for that. And I just can't wait to see what kind of reports come out. I expect the New York Giants offense still to be able to move the ball against that team, but I also want to see on the defensive side what our cornerbacks do against Jared Goff and his wide receiver room. And again, that's going to be very, very exciting. I'll get into more detail when I do a preview of that preseason game, but for right now, I'm going to leave it at that. So just some quick points to practice. Leonard Williams was back in practice. John Michael Schmitz again did not run with the starting team. Paris Campbell, strong day. Jalen Hyatt, another strong day. The defense showed well too, and that's pretty much it in all the reports. So I'm going to leave that wrap up and recap there. So I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.